Okay, so it is Saturday afternoon, March 13th, 2021. I am just leaving TJ's Seafood Market on Oak Lawn Avenue in Dallas, Texas, 4212 Oak Lawn Avenue, Dallas, Texas, right over there. So I found this restaurant via Yelp, via Instagram. I have began food blogging lately, and I've made it a point during my free time to scavenger hunt around DFW and beyond for wonderful food that's worth blogging about, talking about, recommending to others, and, you know, just intriguing my palate and my taste buds like I typically do. So I went to TJ's Seafood Market, very excited about the experience, phone and blogging equipment in tow. So when I entered the restaurant, I stuck out like a sore thumb with my camera, and because all the melanin that I possess, everyone in the restaurant definitely didn't look like me, but in true Cherie fashion, that is nothing that intimidates nor deters me. So I continued to the counter where there is a clear casing full of ice and different types of seafood, items you can take home and items that you can consume in the restaurant. I let the guy know behind the casing that it was my first time visiting TJ's Seafood Market, and what did he recommend? I said I came for the lobster roll, but if there's something better, then you should recommend that now. And so he said, well, we have this smoked salmon that tastes like bacon. And I was like, ooh, intrigued. So he let me sample it, and I was like, maybe I'll order some of that to go, but I'll just take the lobster roll and truffle fries. He was like, oh, you want to sit down and eat? And I'm like, yeah, that would be nice. And he's like, oh, okay, well, you'll have to sit down and one of the servers will assist you. And I was like, okay, well, is that the restroom? Awkward. So went off to the restroom, took a quick potty break, and then I returned to the dining area, which is very, very small and concise. And I seated myself because upon entry and when I exited the restroom, I didn't see a server. I didn't see a host. I didn't see anyone but maybe 6 other patrons that were sitting at tables in the dining area also. So I sat myself. 3 minutes or so later, a woman approaches my table that appears to be a server, not as enthusiastic as I would have hoped she would be, just like the guy at the counter, not very enthusiastic, just very matter of fact, very stuffy even, for this, you know, restaurant in a strip of suites on the most crowded part of Oak Lawn in Dallas. So yes, the lady asked, you know, what I want, and I tell her what I wanted, and I say, you serve wine, what kind? Just then, another server approaches the table and sits silverware down and takes a look at the woman like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, awkward. And so then the lady tells me that she's training and the other woman will be assisting as well. I say, fine, cool, whatever. I'll take the lobster roll. I'll take the truffle fries, just like I just said. And I said, what type of wine do you recommend? Well, do you like white or red? I've been liking white lately. Well, do you like dry or sweet? In the middle. Okay, well, we have a Prosecco. That's amazing. Okay, bring me that. I like amazing. So they leave. Bring back water, bring back Prosecco. I sip the Prosecco. I await my food. I enjoy taking in the sights of outdoors because I'm sitting next to a window at the beginning of the restaurant, and my food approaches. So my plate is sat down in front of me. I take a look at my plate and I'm like, okay, on first glance, it appears, you know, edible. And then I take a closer look because there's a massive piece of bread. Like it's on a brioche bun that kind of looks like a Texas toast style. And so it's cut in half and they stuff the lobster in the middle of it. But what I noticed first was that there was a considerable amount of grease, butter as the chef later referred to it, a considerable amount of grease in my bun. So that was a little unappetizing. And so it warranted a closer look. So I took a closer look. I peeled the bread apart just a little more to get a better look about what I was going to consume. And I immediately just became very, very dissatisfied with the presentation of this meal, and it made me question the quality. I've had many lobster rolls. I've been to many fine dining establishments from America to Spain to England to France to the Caribbean, Virgin Islands. I know food. I know a lot. I know a little on some subjects. Food is something that I know well. I cook. I buy food from low-end grocery stores, from high-end grocers, your Central Markets, your Whole Foods, your Market Streets. I buy lobster regularly. I know everywhere that it's imported from. I know the market rate for any type of fish or seafood off the top of my head. So to pay almost $40 for a sandwich, a lobster sandwich essentially, and fries, it better be damn good, okay? So a waiter comes to my table and asks, does everything look good? Because I had not touched my food and it had been on the table a good 5 minutes. And he said, is everything good? And I said, no. I said, how many ounces of lobster is this? And he responds, 3. And I'm like, 3? And in my head, the smallest lobster tail at Kroger is 3 ounces. And so I just shake my head like, okay. And then he leaves. And then he comes back. And I say, I'm not going to be able to eat this. It is not appetizing to me, and I explained to him why. Above, the portion looking very skimpy and the presentation looking less than stellar, like they just threw it together for, this stray visitor that waltzed in off the street, me. I decided I wasn't going to consume that. I need to be excited about the food I eat. I'm very passionate about food. And I just had a hard time fathoming that a chef, someone that studied culinary arts and put time into getting education about food service, and, cooking, that they would serve this mediocre lobster roll on this fine Saturday. So I let the waiter know I'm not going to be able to consume this. I will try the shrimp po' boy instead, okay? He said, well, okay, keep the plate and you can just munch on the fries. And I said, okay, well, you can bring a box so that I can put this lobster roll in it because I don't want to look at it. He leaves the table. A few minutes later, a guy in a black chef's coat with a little hat and a mask on approaches my table. I guess he's a chef, maybe the kitchen manager. I don't know. He said that his name was Scott. This gentleman greets me and asked me what was the problem. I explained the same issues to him that I did the waiter. Essentially, I'm not satisfied with the presentation or the preparation of this. It is not appetizing to look at, from the grease that's nuked in the bread, the massive brioche bun, swallowing these skimpy, day-old appearing pieces of lobster. I just don't want it. I'm not satisfied with it. It does not meet my expectation. It is not what I was expecting. I will try something else. He then tells me, I understand all that, but we get this lobster from this place and it was flown in yesterday, and I stand by this and that. And then at the end tells me I'm not going to be able to comp that. I said, excuse me, what? So you're telling me that you expect me, a customer, to pay for an item I did not consume? And I'm telling you, I didn't eat not even one bite. And I'm telling you, I'm not satisfied with this product. I do not want this. I want something else. And you're telling me, I'm sorry, I won't be able to do anything about it. You're still going to have to pay for. Funny. You thought. Like, are we in America? Are we seriously, and are y'all doing that bad in business that you would sacrifice service or the opportunity to impact a first-time patron by demanding that she pay for something that she didn't even consume because the presentation and the apparent quality did not meet her expectation? I drove 40 minutes, 30 some miles to that restaurant way across town, far away from the suburb that I live in, that my little cozy life is nestled in, okay? I drove for the food. The food was disappointing to my eyes. And I explained, if I can't even, visually be enticed by something, I definitely can't physically consume it. And for you to tell me as a chef, as a restaurant manager, as a kitchen manager, for you to tell any patron, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to comp it. Did I take one bite out of this sandwich? Did I do anything beyond examine the sandwich that you put on the table that I was set to dine at? And I say, you know what? Beyond the product, your service is now dissatisfactory to me. I laid my napkin, I took it from my lap, and I laid it on top of the food. I said, I don't want anything from here. I don't trust you guys in that kitchen to make anything for me. So you know what? Ring me up for these fries, ring me up for the Prosecco. I will pay that out and I am leaving. I said, you can call the police or whatever you want to do, and I will explain the same thing to them. I said, I will even call my attorney if you'd like for me to. I said, and I would like for you to know that I do have a food blog, and I will let everyone know about how you are treating people here at TJ's Seafood Market. The expression changed slightly then. Very, very, very sad. The type of service that establishments are out here dishing out, and then they expect people to just be satisfied. It's like you're doing me a favor. No, I'm doing you a favor by patronizing your whack-ass establishment. Like you're doing me a favor by throwing together this sloppy, mediocre shit and expecting me to grace my palate with this bullshit. Like, who does that? Not I. Not today, not yesterday, not tomorrow, never. Okay? You thought. Scott, TJ Seafood Market management, owners, whoever, I hope that you get to view this video. I hope that you will reconsider the next time that you think about treating a patron the way that I was treated today. There is absolutely no excuse for poor service. Mediocre food, poor presentation, poor preparation. All of those things can slightly be excusable. And all of those things can most definitely be refutable and refused. I don't have to consume anything that I decide or declare is not worth entering my sacred palate or temple, okay? An apology from a manager, a remake, a reorder, a replacement, all of those can suffice for bad food. Bad service, however, that's from here. That's from here. That's from here. You took one look at me. You took one look at me and decided that for some reason I wasn't worthy of great service today. Well, Scott, and anyone else at TJ's Seafood Market, I really hope that you all recognize and realize the reason that establishments go out of business, okay? It takes customers to run a business, okay? It takes a good product and even better service to have return customers, okay? I would advise your ownership, your leadership to get really, really keen on the specifics when it comes to how to operate a restaurant. Because my guys, you are failing miserably. I have never, in 8 years of living in DFW, I have never received such horrible service. I have never laid eyes on such a poorly executed imitation of a Maine lobster roll. Scott, I will pray for you. I hope that someday you realize and recognize that everyone deserves great service. So long as you're employed in the service industry, I would hope that you really, really take into account that some people factor very specifically what type of experience they desire when they dine out. Some people, they drive many, many miles for this experience. Some people spend many dollars that they saved specifically in a dine out disposable expenditure account just to try restaurants like yours was perceived to be. You all failed. Scott, you failed. My waiter, he failed. The servers, they failed. I seated myself. I greeted myself upon entering the restaurant. I'm at a loss. This fine, beautiful Saturday in the spring, and we have people in 2021 that are not grateful to have patrons coming in their door post-pandemic. Amazing. I'm not telling you guys what to do. I'm just saying, Doc Local down the street, Papa Do's down the street. Hell, drive across town if it comes down to the service and a mediocre product. But TJ's Seafood Market, not worth the paper their menu isn't printed on, okay? And that is from Cherie and Dress to Dine Food Blog, one alike. Do not waste your time or your earnings at this establishment, because they definitely do not have the customer in mind when they are throwing together the slop in the kitchen that they call upscale food. Think twice. Do not patronize TJ's Seafood Market.